Alright, thanks for joining us on another episode of Odd Frog Ministries, Appalachian Christian Faith. Before we dive in today, I just want to remind you again to please hit the like button, share and subscribe. That's a great blessing in sharing God's Word. That's how we get Jesus' Word out there to everybody. So if you'll share it, that's a blessing. So thank you so much for doing so. Today we're going to be going into the book of Matthew, New Testament. I know that's a jump from the Old Testament. As you can see, there are a lot of other books in the Old Testament that talks about the Sabbath. I felt like it was a lot more of what we've already covered, though. But if you do have any questions about any of it, please leave a comment, and I'll be glad to go back over any of that. But I was really trying to get this done in 12 series, and so hopefully the next episode we'll be done with it and be completed. But I want to go ahead and jump into the book of Matthew today and see if we can't cover some of that. Before we actually get to the chapter where Sabbath is discussed, I wanted to first stop off at chapter 5. And there's a reason for that, is because you see here in verse 17, it says, "Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill." Oftentimes when you talk to people about in the New Testament that Jesus Christ is the Sabbath, it's not a day of the week anymore, they want to say, oh, you don't want to keep one of the Ten Commandments. As I spoke of before, it's not about Ten Commandments under grace. It's now, there's two commandments. We're to love God and we're to love our neighbor. And everything else is hinged from that. The laws of the prophets and everything else is hinged from that. We'll go ahead and read some more of this, and I'll shut up here on not speaking. But 18th verse says, "Verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot, one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law, till all be fulfilled." 19th verse says, "Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments, and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven." And the 20th verse says, "For I say unto you that except your righteousness shall exceed the righteousness of the scribes and Pharisees, ye shall in no case enter into the kingdom of heaven." Now, I read all that for this, and I just want to put all this together for you real quick. Alright, as we saw there is a punishment for if you try to change this. God doesn't want it changed. He wants you to understand the law and wants to be done. So I'm not going back and telling you that, if you noticed, I covered and made you understand. I wanted you to understand what Sabbath meant and the importance of the Sabbath. Okay, it had great importance to the Hebrew people, to the children of Israel. And it's just as important as that Sabbath day was to the children of Israel. Jesus Christ is to us. As Christians, Jesus Christ is our rest. He is where we come to get our rest. And as we read there, it said that He didn't come to destroy it. He came to fulfill it. He no longer is there animals that need to be sacrificed. And no longer do we sacrifice the perfect animals. We read before, He was tired of the blood. He was tired of that. He was tired of all the sacrifice, because it was just continuing, and he didn't want that. It was trying to teach. So finally, God sent down His only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in Him should not perish, but have everlasting life, according to John 3:16. And that's why that great sacrifice was made. He made that great sacrifice. So that's the reason why for us, Jesus Christ is our rest. He is our Sabbath. It's no our fountain day of the week. Now, is it wisdom to still take a day off and to rest the mind, as He warned and gave wisdom to the Hebrew children to do? Absolutely. I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe people should take a day off of the week. It's like we found out like I said, in the 1930s, when they started mismanaging farmland and they wound up having a dust bowl. If they had been using the law of God, that dust bowl never would have happened, actually. And no matter what they want to say, it was actually man's error, man's greed that was what caused that to happen. So whenever we find out that if we obey God's word, we don't have problems. So let's go ahead and dive into the Sabbath, where it talks about the Sabbath. Now, as you see here, there is three different chapters where we see Sabbath in the book of Matthew, the 12th, the 24th, and 28th. We want to focus in on the 12th. And the 10th verse is where we'll start, and it says, And behold, there was a man which had his hand withered. And they asked him, saying, Is it lawful to heal on the Sabbath days? That they might accuse him. Now, what this was referring back to is they wouldn't even heal people on the Sabbath day, supposedly. You weren't supposed to. Anyway, so if somebody was suffering, they wouldn't heal them. And here it says, And he said unto them, What man shall there be among you that shall have one sheep, and it fall into a pit on the Sabbath day, will not lay hold on it and lift it out? Imagine this, folks. Hospitals being closed on the Sabbath. You couldn't, if you was sick, if you felt ill, and a hospital was like, Nope, sorry, we can't work today. Today's the Sabbath. See, this is what Jesus is saying here. He's trying to teach and let us understand, like, hey, if it's a need that needs to be met, we need to cover it, even on the Sabbath. And we'll see here, it says, How much then is a man better than a sheep? Wherefore it is lawful to do well on the Sabbath days. So you see, God's telling us there's certain things that you need to do. You need to have stuff open. And we as man can use sense to know that, you know what, everybody can take a day off and rest. It's not one particular day that has to be chosen for everybody. We all can have different days to rest and have days to go worship and serve Jesus Christ together. That's not a problem, and God lets us know that. And I see people all the time saying how much more important an animal's life is than a human being's. And you have people that will fight tooth and nail for the rights of an animal, but yet will fight tooth and nail for a baby to be killed. And that's a hard pill for me to swallow. Now we're coming to end here. I want to touch on one last verse real quick. It's Matthew, going back to the 5th chapter, Matthew 5:48. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. Read that whole chapter of Matthew 5. You will see what I'm saying. God is saying, I expect more out of you than I expected out of the Sadducees and the Pharisees. I expect more out of you. So it's more. It's not doing away with, but he's now saying that part of learning is done. I am expecting more out of you than I did out of them. Went over 7 minutes a little bit today. We're almost to 8. I'm going to go ahead and finish it up, though. If you have any questions, please leave comments down below, like I said earlier. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in to watch it, and please share it. If you like it, you can hit that like button too. We greatly appreciate it. Until then, next time, though, may God's will be done. Y'all take care. God bless.